Good morning.
Good morning. I am so sorry.
Do not worry about it. I just didn't know if I had the right day and time, even though it was on my calendar.
I had a drop in and we got chatting about the World Games and about coverage on the World Games and overtime. And then I was like, you know what, sir? You're going to have to go. I have a meeting. So I apologize. Let me go close my door real quick.
No problem.
Hey, Terry.
Hi, how are you doing?
Doing well.
Good.
Good to see you. How's your week been?
My week has been pretty good, just can't find too much to complain about today.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, how about you? You had a good week?
It's been busy.
Yeah.
It's really busy. I'm happy for it to be Friday. Hey, Jessica.
Yeah.
Morning. Sorry about that.
No, not a problem.
No problem.
Okay.
Sounded like the boss was
Yeah.
imposing on you.
Yes, it was all good, but the World Games can really it's a fun topic.
And what is it, Jessica?
Just coverage for just working out logistics and some of the coverage.
Oh, for the games.
Supporting the World Games.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, that's coming quick. Goodness.
Yes. I have a neighbor who was working on that too, and then I have a nephew who's also helping with blocking streets and things like that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun, a fun event.
I'm sure it will be.
Okay, so I rearranged my desk, but unfortunately the camera I always use is on my laptop, which is over to my side now. So you get my profile. You have to work this through a little more. Okay, so I thought I had. So this effort is for your goal setting.
That's right.
And I don't know what you want to do, if you want me to help in any way or just leave it on record and I'll go off and you guys can share your screen and knock it out and I just say thanks. So you let me know my role or how it can be helpful.
No, I think that's fine, Jessica. I don't know, Terry, if you had thoughts on how we might go about this, but my initial concept was maybe just kind of brainstorming some of the things that we've heard over the last year or so that we might want to elevate to a goal for the committee to consider, and maybe just kind of come up with a short list of those to bring back to them at the next meeting and have further discussion on which of those we want to refine further or just run with. So
yeah, that's fine with me. That's was right along my thought pattern too. So are there any specific topics that you're thinking of or interested in as far as goals?
I think it's throughout our last almost 2 years now, and the role of the committee has been somewhat evolving and coalescing a little bit more, especially with council's more direct engagement and trying to establish what their expectation is.
Right.
There's this ongoing discussion, and we don't really know where it's going to go, about the potential for what are they? I can't remember the term that they were using, but almost like an accountability committee,
right. A citizen accountability.
Huh?
A citizen accountability to where we're accountable directly to, as kind of a liaison between citizens and police. Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, I mean, it was I missed the meeting before last, but I think the meeting prior to that concept was brought up. I think either through public comment or through some other channel, of having maybe a separate body that was a little bit more formal in nature to essentially be like almost serving in an auditor
Right.
capacity,
Mhm.
sort of an police oversight committee that,
I think that's exactly what they were using as a term for it.
And I think it's probably premature to step into that, for this body to step into that conversation without council really having decided what direction they may want to go on that. But I think it's something that we probably need to keep in the back of our minds as we go forward, because it could affect the work that our committee is doing, and we could maybe even have some role in how that type of a separate committee comes together and how the two interact.
Mhm.
And so maybe a goal for us would be finding a way to try to not necessarily lay the foundation for moving into a consideration of that additional committee, but I think having our role be more emphasized on, kind of like we talked about at the last meeting in response to the survey, community engagement, community outreach. I liked what Chief had mentioned about maybe having some representatives from the committee at events that SPD is hosting directly, and sort of serve as sort of that, like you said, kind of like a liaison,
Right.
kind of separate third party, non-badged,
Right. Yeah.
Representative or contact that can be available if folks don't feel comfortable for whatever reason, having that discussion directly with the police chief or whomever it may be. So I guess a goal could be elevating our public outreach efforts, or identifying the means and opportunities we have to engage more with the public for that purpose. Could be maybe a related goal or just a separate goal entirely of independent of what the police department may want to do in terms of public outreach events. One of the things that I've always kind of been curious about is the initial formation and iteration of this committee was to kind of serve as sort of a sounding board for the various neighborhoods within the community about issues that they were seeing going on, and be able to provide that direct communication and feedback to the police department to help them understand where they needed to put their resources, their policing resources. But I don't see that we're really functioning in that way.
Yes, I agree.
And I think there's an opportunity for that would help support sort of that first thing in terms of community engagement, and really could help with maybe some of the city's broader diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, to the extent that they have that formally, to maybe look at doing, rather than having our committee meetings the way that we've been holding them sort of virtually, but as we're coming out of the pandemic, maybe finding remote locations, so to speak, out in the various neighborhoods where we could publicize the meetings being held, and almost have sort of like a listening session roadshow within each segment of the community, each portion of the community, and start to build those connections and relationships directly through the committee through to the police department. Now, and that's something that, you could almost organize it by ward, and have this, the respective city councilors engaged in that too, to help them build that relationship and connection.
Right.
And I almost wonder if, if that does sort of solidify, takes the need for sort of that police accountability body off the heat for that, take some of the heat off for that. You know, if there's more direct communication, there's more direct involvement, trust building, relationship building. People don't feel as though the PD is just out there sort of doing these things in a way that is not consistent with respectful professional policing. So,
Right.
So that might, I don't know how we put that into a goal. It's maybe more of a concept of just increasing our neighborhood awareness or our neighborhood outreach. If that remains an intent, you know, and a purpose of this committee is to serve as sort of that information gathering of what's happening at the neighborhood level. And that may be a question for Chief too, is, you know, are they wanting that?
Right.
Are they wanting that information to come in through at the neighborhood level?
I think what we can, oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I just wrote these down as you were talking. And I think I put them into like 4 different goals, but I think they're all important. But I think, you know, I think you're right. We need to get the support of the department and city council. So that would be one of the main things that we have to do, is get their support.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know that anyone mentioned it during the last call, but I would imagine that, you know, once we've identified sort of a preliminary list of goals that procedurally we'd be forwarding that to council to get at a minimum their concurrence.
Right.
Yeah. And then I guess maybe another potential goal that would seem somewhat obvious for us to focus on would be maybe something a little bit more specific in terms of the number of policies that we're going to review on an annual basis. And I mean, I know that I think they come up with a list at the last meeting.
Right, we did.
But which was probably perfectly fine, and but to maybe just formalize that of the committee will review X number of policies over the course of the next year at a minimum.
Right.
Just so there's that, you know, articulated level of accountability to city council and to the police department, to the community.
Right.
Wow, it feels like a good start, at least in my thinking.
I think it's a great start, actually. I mean, I don't want to inundate everybody with 20 or 30 goals.
Yeah, right.
So so I think these are great. And I think we should go ahead and Jessica, are you still there?
Yes, just listening.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry, what?
Do you want to read off what you have and then I'll type them up and then we can agree? Or do you want to prep these in a draft fashion on yourself and send them to me?
No, I can read them off. Well, I can still read my writing.
Hold on, let me. I guess that there, you know, there's pros and cons to this, but at the same time, if we come out of this with a finished product, it's a win in my world.
Yeah.
What are you seeing as the pros and cons, Jessica?
Oh, just as a, like, if you do it on your own, which is totally fine. Sometimes there's an interest to maybe tweak it or review and revise it outside of the public meeting piece. Do you know what I mean? And so then we've missed our moment to really leverage the public meeting opportunity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, oh yeah. No, I mean, I would expect we'd want to be doing that work during the meeting. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So I was taking notes and then I stopped.
Yeah, we've got the formalized specific number of policies reviewed annually. Right, and elevate and identify means to engage more with the public, which you did that, you had that. Communication, act as a liaison for communication from the public back to SPD. And participate in remote locations out in the public, to include the by council ward and include that council person within or with the meeting. I'm not quite sure how to say that.
Is that
Yeah, I think it would be, well, and you might be gnashing your teeth a little bit on this one, Jessica, but I think from a logistics standpoint, but is the concept could be, would we be able to hold, as we're able to start to hold meetings in person again, could we hold those like at satellite locations?
Yeah,
Within the respective neighborhoods or council wards, to try to encourage just greater outreach, greater involvement,
right.
especially if the purpose of those meetings is going to be sort of like a listening session of, hey, tell us about some of the issues that you're seeing. What are some of the ways that this body can help you, understand the work that SPD is doing, or I don't know, whatever the case may be. And some of that may be, some of that purpose may come from the results of the recent survey.
There
yeah,
you go.
no, I think it's a great idea. And I
do
think
too.
that I would just double check about the public meting criteria. Whatever
Yeah.
location we identify
Right.
has to adhere to that.
Right.
And then the only other complexity that I'm tracking on for logistical purposes is the interest to provide public meetings in a hybrid environment. And that's some of the complexity that I think is holding back, transitioning back to in-person, is we don't,
Sure.
Our facilities aren't necessarily, they're good in regards to presentation, but not necessarily to a hybrid meeting environment. And so if we're going off-site, that adds some unknown to that, but
Yeah.
Does add some
there's-
logistics.
Yeah.
right. That doesn't mean that when we identify the solution, I'm totally game. We're game. I think it's a great idea. It's just we need to figure out the process, which the technology's out there. So we'll figure it out. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Perfect thing. The other one that I wrote down too was how do we build relationship and increase awareness and outreach with the community, between the community and SPD?
So build
awareness and outreach between the community and the SPD. Did I capture all those, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, there may be, I would imagine there's quite a few folks in the community that don't know that Police Advisory Committee even exists.
Oh, I'm sure of that. And those that do know it exists probably don't know what we really do.
What we, yeah.
Or what we try to do.
Yeah. And that, yeah, some folks may be like, okay, well, that's great. I don't really see a need to engage,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
So if I changed these to, let me just do this for identification purposes. So number 2 and 4, should these be one after the other, or maybe they seem similar?
Well, yeah, well, I think 1, 2, and 4 are all somewhat in the same vein.
Yeah, they're all similar, but they have slight differences.
I would almost say it's, I mean, if you're going to do them in sequence, number 3 is maybe the first would be first, and then
So
two-
maybe these
2
are,
would be number 2, and then
are these kind of subcategories of this primary goal or separate?
could be, yeah.
Your call.
I mean, acting as a liaison may or may not necessarily involve building awareness and outreach,
Yeah,
or,
that's true.
you know,
Right.
but
I
think
would keep them all separate for now.
Okay. You're going to see me be slightly paranoid in the sense I might have not saved quick enough lately.
Excuse me a minute.
And, you know, I mean, these are just things for the committee to respond to start
Yeah.
with, so.
No, agreed. The only other thing that I don't know, this is what I had prepared to have. This was the draft that we had sent out that we had not had, that the prior committee had mentioned.
The prior committee.
And the only reason, and what came up in the prior annual report
Oh, okay,
committee
yeah.
that included some goal elements. I'm not trying to incorporate these, but there was discussion at that last meeting with the focus on these community groups. And I didn't know if you wanted to include that specific language. It might not, you know.
Sure, yeah, no, I think if we've already said we've identified some goals for the annual report, it would make sense to me that we carry those forward.
Right.
I was just, and I don't know.
I'm trying to, do you have that, Jessica, at hand, or I could probably,
Say it one more time.
do you have that the language from the annual report at hand?
That was this. Can you? Oh.
I can't.
I can. My fault. I thought I was sharing my screen, but I think I'm just sharing just that document. Let me.
Yeah.
My mistake. Where are you? Stop sharing. Share screen. My whole screen. Is that
There you
better?
go. Yeah.
My apologies. I thought that's what I was
No
doing
problem.
initially.
No problem.
This one right here about the community outreach, and then they had the focus on the BIPOC, LGBTQ plus, and other historically minoritized communities. I wasn't sure. That was just one that came that was specifically mentioned.
Yeah, it makes sense to me to carry that one forward. It's more specific, but I think there's value in highlighting that for probably obvious reasons. So
Right. It really folds into number 1, maybe.
Right. So can't we just combine that language into that?
yep, that's what
Yes.
she's
Yep.
perfect. Is there anything from the survey that we want to highlight specifically? The survey results?
I'm trying to think of if there was anything that would pertain to a goal in that survey.
Well, the community outreach aspect was of a specific recommendation. So you really have covered that piece of it, but let me pull it up really quick. And I happen to know.
I can't find that.
I think it's.
Was that emailed out to us? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was.
Where is that? There we go. And we can go through different areas of the report itself, but I would just, this is the report that's available on our website. And this is the recommendation portion.
Right.
Is
And it
that
sounds
what
like-
we're,
Yeah, it sounds like we've kind of got number one rolled into our goals. So it just says, it doesn't say it this way exactly, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
Are there more than 4, Jessica?
no, there actually was 4 recommendations that
Yeah,
came out of
okay.
it. There's other themes and information, of course, but
Right, right.
and you're welcome. I am happy to go to different sections of the report if that's what you were, if you have something that I can.
Yeah, no, I just wondered if there were more recommendations than just these 4. I couldn't remember from when I was at the meeting.
Yeah, gotcha.
But I think that we've got number one within our goal. It like I said, it's not exactly worded like this, but it says the same thing. And I'm not quite sure that we could do any more with follow-up or traffic safety or social disorder.
Yeah, I think that number 2 is something that we could possibly be, addressed, or we could contribute to indirectly through, just more of that neighborhood level
I was going to say that might
engagement.
be something that we bring up at that level. It could be a sub bullet to that one.
Yeah, I think just, serving as a means of learning more, at that neighborhood scale of,
Mhm.
whether to what extent, issues, concerns around homelessness, low-level crime, disorder, et cetera, are
Right.
of concern.
So is there any modification to the goals, or are you thinking that it really just folds in?
I'm thinking it folds in. I don't know what you
Okay.
think.
Yeah, I think it could fold in. I mean, when we meet next, Terry, maybe it's just a matter of mentioning to the committee that our thinking around goal 4 was that it could be a means of helping to respond to the recommendation number 2.
I think that's a great idea, because at least then they know that we've taken that into consideration as well.
Mhm. And I mean, to that end, maybe that's also a way to help SPD respond to recommendation number 3 as well. It's like, if we're conducting those listening sessions or sort of PR sessions almost to a certain extent, just sharing out, being a means of sharing out information for how the department is responding to.
Right. Maybe what we could do, Jessica, is like as number 3 correlates to our number 3, and just put like a 3 in parentheses or something like that, so we know when we're talking about this that this correlates with the survey, as well as number 1 coordinates with number 1.
Yeah, you could almost just like in a parenthetical.
Right.
Survey recommendation number 1, survey recommendation number 2.
Exactly.
Okay.
More than anything is a reminder for us to make sure we mention it.
That, yeah,
No,
exactly.
sure. I might make. Okay, and then,
And number 3 with number 3.
Oh, new. Why did you? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to
That's all right.
do
You're
this on
doing
a
a great
small
job.
screen. It's not working for me. Okay.
Doing a much better job than I could do. Thank you so much. Perfect.
And
Perfect.
that was with 2. There we go. And as liaison. So, and just for clarification, so
I'm not-
number 3, I think, is intended, and I think it could be interpreted in different fashions, but I think number 3 was really intended of, like, if somebody is reporting a crime, are they receiving status updates on
Right.
the status of that report
Right.
or that incident? So, although I do see some follow-up in regards to, feedback, I think
Yeah.
a lot of that is more of a one-to-one,
Sure.
Did you happen to find the bicycle that was stolen from the park, or that kind of a thing?
Right. I'm not sure that the community survey recommendation number 1 should follow up on number 2. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Or do you disagree with that?
Well, what I think is less probably important than what you do, but I mean, number 1 really is that community engagement, community outreach, reaching with an emphasis on not only maintaining relationships that we already have, but expanding relationships to community groups that we haven't been effectively reaching with our current effort.
Right.
So I guess that's kind of why I was thinking that recommendation 1 folds into goal number 2 is really like,
Okay, well,
you're
that's
identifying
fine.
ways to change how we're doing what we're doing
Right.
now to reach more of the community. And
Okay,
so
that's
why
good. That's fine.
okay.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Active liaison for the public community. And I do see how number 3 could correlate with number 3. That's kind of more of a specific scenario.
Right, which that could actually be a sub bullet under number 3, but for now
Right.
we can just leave it how it is.
Yeah.
Right. And
Right.
then number 4, you were thinking this one could possibly cross over to supporting recommendation number 2, correct?
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
and so as I'm letting these sort of percolate a little bit, I mean, no. So usually, like when you go through a goal setting process, and then to achieve your goals, then you're going to identify objectives that'll do that.
Right.
Number 4 is almost an objective to achieving goals 1 and 2. Like it's a mechanism.
Right.
It's a strategy or a technique for achieving goals 1 and 2.
Right.
So we might want to pull that one back, or set it as a sub bullet. Or just list it as a potential objective. I don't know. What is, Jessica, what has the committee done previously in terms of goal setting? Do they take that next step of specifying objectives, or has this ever been done?
Not in this fashion. Really, the only formalized that I've been able to find, there's never been a formal goal setting process since I've been involved. And beyond that, it was formally outlined within that older long range plan, which was very defined, very traditional in regards to goals, objectives, timelines, that kind of thing. So there isn't really a middle ground. It's all you.
Okay, well, that's good. Nice to have.
I think that's good.
To work with. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it can't hurt. I mean, at least it
I'm-
guides you through the discussion.
I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that's fine. It identifies and breaks down that second goal a little more, and that's okay, I think.
And to be honest, that's really, I mean, kudos to you, Eric. That's actually a really good, specific objective that is something that we can proactively accomplish rather than
Right.
just wait, you know, hope that schedules align and that we do some type of special meeting. This is something that we schedule out and you can task, not you, but
Yeah.
staff liaison and or council is tasked to identify some type of option to achieve it. And
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Okay, well, and yeah, and if, like I said, if nothing else, this is just giving the committee something to start with and
Right.
discuss.
We can always expand on it or take it down a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure that we want to, like I said before, have a whole bunch of goals. I think this is a good number to start with.
Yeah, agreed.
and beyond that, something to think of. I mean, these are 2022 goals.
Mhm.
We want them to be achievable in the next
Few months.
mean,
We've only got
few
6
months, or at
months.
least to have been able to provide some type of traction on them. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
so,
Right. Doesn't mean that they have to be done all in 2022,
Right.
but you're
Right.
right. We need something that shows that we've done something with them. I think number 4 will be the easiest one for us to achieve full accountability on.
Yes.
That seems like a pretty easy goal, and I think you need an easy goal. At least one.
okay. So this is what I will do is just throw, make it probably a little prettier and throw a draft on it and put it in as an agenda item as well as attachment on the next meeting.
I think that's great.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. both.
Jessica, your help is so appreciated. Thank you so much.
Happy to. Thanks for doing it. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Happy Friday. Unless you want to talk more. We're
No, I
good.
think I'm satisfied. Yeah, good starting point. Thank you both for the time, and thanks,
Yeah, thank
Jessica,
you.
for getting this scheduled for us and helping us get our thoughts down.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you very much. You
All
guys
right.
have a great weekend.
You as well.
You too.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Soon. Bye.
Bye.